As the Supreme Court takes up the future of affirmative action next week, tonight, we have a tale of two universities, one that uses race as a factor in admissions and one that doesn't. We examine how they're both trying to build diverse campuses and how some minority students are responding. Two Latino brothers from Queens, the first in their family to go to college, share their story tonight on the complexities of race and higher education. Here's Devin Dwyer.
It's an idyllic campus in the Bronx, one of the most diverse cities in America. At Fordham University, the student body is 64% white.
When we have groups missing, we know we're missing some of our best and brightest.
Fordham President Tanya Tetlow, the first woman to lead the Jesuit institution in 181 years, says improving racial diversity is a top priority.
It's something that our own students demand, but also is such a big part of their education.
So how is race used in admissions here at Fordham?
One of many factors. There's something very particular about growing up in this country, dealing with the ways that you were underestimated, the educational opportunities you're denied, that when a student comes to us having overcome all of that and succeeding in a way that means they belong at Fordham, we're even more eager for them to be here. And the idea that we're supposed to ignore that, I just don't understand.
Fordham has been among the biggest defenders of affirmative action for decades. The school argues the policy is a moral imperative and a critical tool for building a diverse campus, which Tetlow says is now at risk.
Is race-based affirmative action working at Fordham?
Yes.
There's just talent everywhere, and if they look in the right places, they'll find it.
18-year-old freshman German Ortega is adjusting to life as a minority student on Fordham's campus.
Do you feel like people are interested in learning from you?
Everybody, has different thoughts, and that's the beauty of diversity. I know a lot of people just didn't go to college.
German and older brother Yeriel grew up in Corona, Queens. They're the first in their family to go to college, sons of a single mom and Mexican immigrant.
The education is the key to growth and success for her as much as it is for us.
Applying to college was never a question for the brothers, but how they would get accepted and afford tuition posed big challenges.
Many of the schools you mentioned consider race in the application process. Did you think about that when you were applying?
Yeah, it was definitely on top of my head.
The first factor was me not taking out debt.
Yeriel got a scholarship to Baruch College, where a typical student pays about $7,000 a year. German got a full ride to Fordham, where tuition is about 8 times higher at $56,000.
It's sad that I got a full ride because I'm Hispanic, because they needed to give because they needed to give that scholarship to Hispanic, and ironically, I was.
But it's good for you.
Oh, it's good for me, but it says a lot.
I think there's questions surrounding it, whether it's a genuine intention or whether it's just we got to meet the quotas.
I think it's reasonable for so many schools to consider race as one of many factors.
Jake Moreno-Caplone is CEO of America Needs You, a nonprofit group that's helped thousands of first-generation college students get accepted and adjusted to life on campus.
Psychologically, I do think that there can be a real impact on folks feeling like they only got into a school because of their race, because of their socioeconomic class. What is such a shame about that, all of the data shows us that it's much harder to get into, especially a selective institution, if you are black or brown, or if you are coming from a low-income background.
Roughly 1 in 5 American colleges and universities use race as a factor in deciding which students to accept, but some say there may be better ways of doing it.
So it's a tool to achieve the kind of campus diversity that we're talking about. But it's not only a tool.
Baruch College President David Wu is the first Asian American to lead a school within the City University of New York. It's one of the most racially diverse campuses in America, with more than 70% students of color. But Baruch does not use race in the admissions process, instead targeting underserved communities much earlier in high school.
By the time you get into the admission policy to diversify your student body, that's a little bit too late. Before all that happens, you need to put in the effort to build that pipeline.
Wu says Yeriel Ortega proves college is critical to social mobility. He's now an investment banker and primary breadwinner for his family of 5. Ortega says while the odds have historically been stacked against minorities in higher ed, he believes talent and hard work will always win.
I come from poverty. I come from a low income family. That's true. There's a systematic issue, but in terms of should the pencil be on race? I really don't think so.
Different institutions have different missions, but there is one thing that's in common, right? Which is education is very much part of this infrastructure of opportunity.
Affirmative action was developed in the 1960s and 70s in part to ensure opportunity after decades of inequality and racism kept people of color on the margins of higher education. For Baruch in New York City, enrolling a diverse mix of students has not been a challenge, but at Fordham and many other universities across the country, it has.
We would like to match the demographics of this generation as best we can, because when we're not doing that, we know we're just missing talent.
Race has to be part of the conversation. I also think socioeconomic status is really important. I don't think that these two things are in contradiction with one another, and we need to find a way to talk about both of them in a nuanced way.
The Ortega brothers say they believe it's time to consider requiring a process that is race blind.
Removed race as an option and just did not factor it in. I can almost guarantee you that a lot of people like me would actually be making it into these schools, like into whatever school it is.
But Fordham's president says it's still a needed tool.
What happens at Fordham if the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional for any school, public or private, to consider race in their admissions?
Then suddenly all of those kids who've overcome those incredible obstacles, we have to legally ignore that fact.
Does it mean potentially fewer students of color coming to a school like Fordham?
It probably does, yes.
A major case over race and college admissions that could shape the next generation.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.